Hello everyone, it's Zanril, your key to the past of Simplex. In this video, I'm going to be showing you some PvP arenas that I designed back in the day that I consider scrapped, abandoned, whatever you want to call it. Here I have a copy of Simplex's first PvP arena, the Legacy Arena, and then over there is the current PvP arena, which is much larger and has a blackstone look to it. The legacy map, or the legacy maps in the arena itself was much smaller. Used stone brick, as you can see, but I'm not going to be going too much into the history of the maps themselves or the arena. Just over the designs for the in the maps I made, like for this arena in particular, as well as two for the current one. We have Zento, Last Ditch, Brickton, and Siderosis. First, we're going to be going to Zento. So I wanted this to be a sort of Japanese-style map with mirror symmetry. I originally had a more natural-looking river just going all the way through, but I sort of tuned that down a little bit so I can make more ways to cross. Originally, there was just this land bridge and the wooden bridges on both sides. It's symmetrical on both sides, and that's probably the most unique thing about it. The spawn locations, you can see your opponent here, and if you stepped over here a little bit, you can see them there. There's nothing too interesting other than, I guess, that there's water on it, which was... if this was ever put on Simplex, this would have been a unique feature among all the maps that it would have been hanging around. Water would have been useful, particularly for, like, negating fire damage. So, like, if, you got shot by a flame bow, you can just quickly dip in here and then out and then continue fighting without taking damage over time. I was working with the limitations at the time, and stuff like lighting and like signs or anything that, or like ladders too, like you couldn't have ladders at all. Like, that's stuff I couldn't do on this map, unfortunately, because of... That's why I'm using gold blocks for the lights. Just that kind of stuff wasn't allowed back then, and it kind of limited what I can do decoration-wise with the maps. As far as the whole concept, there's nothing too much going on other than, like, the whole river and the bridges thing. Got nothing else really to say other than I wanted to go for like a Japanese theme, but I pretty much failed at that. Alright, let's move on to the next map. Oh, that's right, the panel is all the way at the end here. Here we have Last Ditch, fighting the ruins of the Last Stand. I should mention that I actually did name this map Last Stand initially, but then I named it to Last Ditch. As sort of a reference to the saying, like, a last-ditch effort. So this map has... there's trenches and sort of like a T-shape going along the edges of the map. The edges are... Oh, excuse me, while I fix a little bug with the... Oh my gosh, the map. It's the thing about the working with the Legacy Arena was water doesn't clear by itself, strangely enough, so I have to like press this to clear the map, and that's what the arena looks like without any map selected. And then I go to Last Ditch. There we go, that's much better. So with this arena, I wanted to make a sort of like a ruins with some trenches here and there. Again, there's the T-shaped trench area here. There's some buildings in the corners as well as like a center, I guess you can call it like a bunker, I guess. Just like with windows here, so if you're standing here, you can like view the bridge here. A lot of the PvP I've grown up and done is just 1v1s, and a lot of the well, actually, not a lot, all of the maps I've ever made were done with that in mind. Everyone has the same gear, shields are allowed, ender pearls are allowed, max diamond, fully enchanted bows. Oof. Can use a fully enchanted axe if you wanted to, but everyone just used swords because it has better DPS. So it was mostly just you either used a bow, either because your opponent's too far away, or you got into melee. Oh, and knockback was a little bit more prevalent. Unlike now with netherite, you could, I don't know, knockback was normal, but with netherite, you don't really get knocked back as much whenever you get hit, either with arrows or with in melee. So the whole thing, just a few things to point out with Last Ditch. Whenever you fall into the trench, maybe you got hit back, I don't know, maybe you're retreating or something. Well, these buttons are here so you can exit the map. You're forced to either go back to your spawn location or go directly to the center, either left or right. Whenever you do spawn, you do have clear line of sight of your opponent. So like on go, you could just, start shooting right away, or you can go, into the ruins and try to get closer. You can cross the bridge here. You can, I don't know, maybe if you really wanted to get to that other corner in a very crafty way, I guess you can like go towards the center a little bit, go down the trench here, and then, get to the other corner that way. There's definitely lots of like little pathways here and there that you can take. And it's very... I wanted to try to make it like as balanced as possible in regards to melee and ranged. Like if you primarily wanted to use a bow, you'd want to stick to the corners, or maybe like up on the bridge here, because you can see just about everything here, or maybe like down here, because kind of no matter like where you approach, except I guess coming from like this angle, you have pretty open sight lines everywhere. As far as melee is concerned, like you would want to go, where the ruins are, where there's cover everywhere, and constantly break lines of sight. And that's kind of it with Last Stand. We're going to be moving on to... what's next here? Brickton. Brickton does not load in the arena for some reason. I actually need to go over here to show you this map, but no biggie. Alright, so it is symmetrical on 4 sides. A lot of the blocks used here are very old. Like oak planks, like gravel, I guess you could say like cobblestone, like clay bricks. They've been in the game for a really long time, and I just wanted to go for that old Minecraft feel, I guess. The whole thing with this arena, one thing I did start to do with this arena, and another one as well, is you don't have line of sight of any of your opponents from the spawn locations. And I wanted to do that to encourage you to actually Well, I guess to discourage anyone, like on go, you just start bow fighting, but no, you actually need to like move a little bit and get an angle on whoever you're fighting first. And no matter where you stand, there's always like a really long but narrow open sight line to somewhere. Like no matter where I stand, like there's here, there's kind of there. I can kind of see the blue corner there. I can like stand here, but I can see a corner there. There's there, there's there. There's plenty of walls here and there. And you can go from cover to cover really fast because the walls are so close to each other. And the only real open area is like kind of where I'm looking here. Going on along the edges, there's sort of like a gravel pathway, and then more towards the center is sort of like a oak plank boardwalk kind of deal. Other than the layout, I wasn't going for anything in particular with this map, with Brickton. Well, moving on now, back to the Legacy Arena. The final map is Siderosis. Mars map with Center Meteorite. There was a vehicular combat game called Robocraft I used to play, and one of the maps was Hellion Crater. It was a Mars-themed map with a Center Meteorite, just like this map, with some high ground going along the edges, just like this one. So I primarily took inspiration from that map and tried to convert it into a PvP arena. So just like Brickton, there is no line of sight to either of the spawn locations from your starting corner. Instead of a wedge like Brickton, there's actually sort of like a hill blocking your line of sight. But unlike the wedge, you can actually... unlike the wedge on Brickton, you can actually, go up onto this and enjoy the view, I guess. And just like Mars in real life and the map in Robocraft, it's very orange. So I used only orange blocks. I feel like I could have splashed in a little like dark brown as well. But even then, I wouldn't really know what to do with that. The low walls for cover are just sort of afterthoughts. I actually didn't really know what to do as far as like how I wanted the map to flow or where I wanted cover exactly. So, I just thought, I'll just put like an arch here so you can get to the center. But this is definitely because of the openness, it's very ranged friendly. Nice and open. But yeah, I got no other designer insights other than what I mentioned. And with Siderosis done, that is all for the Legacy Arena. We're going to be going over to the current PvP arena. And the first map we're going to be checking out is Neo Last Stand. So I took the Last Stand map, and I wanted to like expand upon it. This corner, if you remember Last Stand, this corner is actually original along with the bridge, but and like here would be like where the center would be, but after this point, like this building here is kind of new. If this was the old map, this would be where the center is, but now there's 4 of them in sort of this box formation, and there's this sort of like cross-shaped center here that's on the low ground. And the change in terrain is a lot more. Well, there's more terrain changes. I mean, trenches do exist, but they're smaller. Whenever you do spawn in, you do have line of sight of your opponents on the corners, well, adjacent corners, but not the opposite one. And because the map is bigger, there's a lot more angles of approach that you can do, a lot more routes, and just in general, a lot more to explore, really. And it still retains that ruined look, just like the original. Huh, that's strange. Really don't think that's intentional. Yeah, that's definitely bugged. Like, if you look over here, these are what the... I don't know, I guess you could say, like, ramps are supposed to be, like, to these, like, center buildings. Like, if this was the old Last Stand, this is where the bunker was supposed to be. And as far as the bridges, I didn't really want to make, like, one long bridge connecting, like, from here all the way to the other corner. I wanted to have some kind of, like, building here, so I made that. I did think about having I guess, like, a staircase here that would just go... Well, a turning staircase that would, like, end here. So, like, if... well, just so you'd have to, like, turn around here and then go back down instead of having a... Well, I think originally I was thinking, like, well, I need to, like, break line of sight with the adjacent corners, but I sort of ditched the idea since the corners, like, they're so far away, and breaking line of sight wasn't as much as a pet peeve of mine as it was whenever I made, like, the new version of Last Stand. This Last Stand that we're looking at here. If I would have done anything different, I probably would have, I don't know, made these, like, I do like the ruined look. Probably, like, make, like, an arch here, or just make this building taller, and potentially make this map, like, multi-leveled. I would have liked to seen like, these maps, or not this map, these buildings a little taller, and then sort of like bridges and pathways to the second floors of all these ruined buildings. It definitely would have gave the map a little bit more verticality, but all the verticality you're going to get out of this map is just, you know, going to the trenches and then going back out, and that's kind of it. Next up is my sort of rework and, I guess you can say, expansion, a newer version of Zento, which I definitely took advantage of the size I was given with the new arenas, and I made it with rotational symmetry instead of mirror symmetry, but in order to show you that, I need to exit out of my client and load the map in. So with the power of editing, you should see that pop before you right about now. So here is Neo Zento. The map is, well, as far as its theme is concerned, it's very much expanded. We have a yin-yang here in the center. I fulfilled my dream of having a map with a sort of like a central river going through the entire map. I did preserve the bridges. The lamps are still here, although they're very much downsized. We do have the houses, but there's 4 of them now instead of 2. Like previously mentioned, the map has rotational symmetry. So if you go on this side facing towards the center, it's basically the same. And if you go on the opposite side, it's the same. You can definitely see that with the yin-yang symbol, like, symmetrical. The spawn locations are in the corners. And what I really liked about having this being rotational symmetry is no matter what spawn location your opponent's at, either adjacent corners or opposite corners, it's going to be a different situation. Like if your opponent spawned in here at this corner, you're going to be fighting, across this bridge, going from high to low ground. If it was this corner, also a high ground to low ground situation, but the terrain is a little bit different. And then opposite corners, definitely a different story. Like you're going to be going through this house, maybe fighting here in the water, going through the center. And if it was from this corner to the other, both of you would be starting on low ground, and the river part would be actually a little bit higher up, and you'd be, going uphill a little bit and then fighting here in the center, at least at first. And assuming you want to, clash swords right as someone says go. I feel like I could have added maybe those iconic like red arches and more bamboo. Definitely more bamboo for cover. Because other than the bamboo, there isn't really much cover. And the terrain isn't really drastic enough for you to be able to use it as cover. Enough of my rambling. That is all of the PvP arena maps that I made throughout the years. I hope you enjoyed watching, and I hope you gained some insights as a designer, either layout map-wise or just looks-wise, of what I believe some standards of PvP map design should be. I thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next time.